What did you tell your colleagues? How did you try to convince them? And how did they respond?
The idea about going and asking the legislature to remove the cost overrun provision, no one was particularly interested in that one. But the rest of the ideas, they all seem to be open to. But I don't know that I think there was always a heavy dose of suspicion on their part, which I never was able to break through. That this was all an attempt to kill the tunnel. And I was disappointed that I couldn't break through that. And in fact, it was really apparent on Monday when we were up at the, up at full council, and Tom Rasmussen's remarks about you're just trying to delay this and let's just move on. And I was reading the next day some of Tim Burgess's tweets, and things like O'Brien poison pill amendment being debated now, and voting so far shows that O'Brien-McGinn effort to derail the project will fail.
Oh, was he tweeting from the actual dais?
He was, yeah.
Wow.
And so, the transit one, for instance, is something that I think almost all council members throughout this 3-month process had talked about how critical transit was, and I thought, well, then it's logical that we should have some transit funding before we proceed. That seems something that we should all commit to, and yet that Tim would portray that as some sort of poison pill, I thought was clearly I was not able to convince my colleagues that there are some reasonable questions that people should be asking.
The accusations of being in cahoots with McGinn. I mean, to what extent? How much have you guys been talking? How much were you collaborating? No.
I don't think McGinn has texted me since
the panhandling.
I've texted him a couple times to say, "Are you about ready to ride home? Do you want to ride together?" That's about the extent of our texting. So no, on this stuff there was none of that. I mean, frankly, these were all the ideas, and all these amendments were stuff that came out of this office. And
do you think it's hurting you that you're associated so much with McGinn?
I think my relationship with McGinn kind of cuts both ways, and I think my ability to try to convince my colleagues that there were actually some good steps we should be taking on this tunnel right now to signal to the other players that we're serious about transit, we're serious about port funding, we're serious about traffic impacts. I think it was kind of a missed opportunity, and I think that part of that is because of my relationship with McGinn.
There's talk of this initiative obviously being filed in the next few weeks. Are you going to be supportive of that?
The type of government we have in the West and in Washington and in Seattle is that citizens do get to play a role if they think their elected leaders aren't doing a good enough job. I don't think that always leads to the best results, but that's the way the system is, and I swore an oath to uphold, the Constitution of the state and the city code and city charter. And so I intend to do that, and I think that our job and my job is less about what citizens might be doing with an initiative or what referendum they might want to pass, and rather focus on passing some really good legislation that the public actually supports.